Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lawn Care CEO podcast. My name is Dan Rouse, one of the head coaches here at the Lawn Care CEO, and I'm very, very excited about our podcast today. But first, a quick apology. I feel like we have been very much absent in podcasts, and our guest is going to know that because he is one of our tens of listeners. And we've been absent, and there's a very good reason. If you stick around to the end of this broadcast, you're going to hear the reason why we've missed maybe a month or something of recording, maybe 6 weeks. But we're back. And this is the good news because we've been working in our workshops over here at the Lawn Care CEO, building something that we think is going to be really fantastic. And so, stay tuned for that announcement. If you aren't currently on one of our lists where you're sending you emails, you can shoot an email to info@lawncareceo.com and say, hey, I want to get on the list, and we'll send you out all that stuff. Today is the reason maybe I'm particularly pumped about this particular guest that we have here is primarily because usually we have guests that have much bigger companies. And obviously for us, it seems nice, right? To have cool, big companies. And it's fantastic because they're very successful and they've done really great things and they built really cool companies. And it's great to learn from those kinds of guests. Today's guest is different, a little bit of a smaller company, but I think his story is equally inspiring. And I don't want to give away the punchline yet, but if you're a smaller, by the way, I think Jude Salvaggio is our guest. I'll introduce him in a minute, but I think Jude's story can also be very inspiring for if you're a $2 million lawn care CEO or general manager or whatever. I think the story is still I was inspired by the story, and so hopefully you will be as well. And so I'd encourage you to read through the lines in all of this and capture the bigger storyline here. And we'll dig into it as time progresses. But as we gear up for this episode, I want you to pause. I want you to think about your want to and your will and how that's being applied to your business in a bigger way. I want you to think about, what you're kind of willing to it's like execution is king, and you're going to learn a little bit about that today. So again, I'm giving away the punchline here, Jude. I get to introduce Jude Salvaggio of Tyler Landscape Maintenance out of St. Mary's, PA. I think that's the official way to say it, right? PA.
It is. Correct.
Is that how I'm supposed to say it, Jude? Jude, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited, and we'll tell your story here in a minute, but you've been a listener of the podcast for a little while.
I have.
One of our tens of tens.
Yeah, 10. Well, I think I'm at 20 at 20 now because I've inspired some local guys to start listening to pick up too. I'm probably one of the longest owned lawn care. We're not landscape, we're lawn care. We do mowing and lawn treatment programs. And I'm probably I have to be in the top 2 of the oldest companies in the county that do this type of work.
So Jude, give us a run up of your story. You've been in business for a long time.
28 years. I'm going on 29. I don't know what parts you want and what parts you don't want, but I started this company I started with basically nothing. I'd quit a job. I was bouncing from selling fax machines to selling cars. And I got into a little dispute with the owner. Real quick,
sorry to interrupt you, Jude. For those of you under 30 years of old, fax machine was like an email, but it went through a machine and it was connected to a printer in someone else's house. It was really weird. So fax machines.
Old Sharp, the Sharp 30 or the Sharp FO. I think it was a FO 300. I used to carry it around, going door to door and talking to secretaries and. I had to take 35 business cards back in the day, and it was interesting. So anyway, I quit my job, and I went home and I told my pregnant wife I was going to start a landscape company, and she just was like, "You're not going to do that. Go back and get your job. We can't do this." So I hopped in my station wagon with a wheelbarrow and a borrowed shovel. I swear to God, and we got in business. And I remember Dan saying in one of these podcasts go through my head like quicksand sometimes. The first time I made a $200 job, I went home and showed Michelle, my wife, and she's like, "Wow, you made $200 today. That's incredible." And of course we forgot to take out the $150 worth of material we put in, and you know, but you learn. I mean, you got to start. You got to start. I encourage everyone to start. Um, so then, moving forward, we just did so. It's just work. Um,
Yeah.
but
Because you
the
kind of
first,
hovered revenue wise, you hovered where? Like up until
so
last year, you were at about what
up until
revenue?
last year, we were only doing around 150,000 in sales a year total.
Yeah.
Like maybe 145, maybe the best year was like 170. Um,
And it kind of
we
like how long did it take you first of all to get to the 150 starting at year 28 and then you just kind of hovered there? What was the story?
So it was about year 10, when I finally decided to become a routine mowing company. And year 10, we
Mm.
really just focused on doing nothing but landscape maintenance and mowing. And that's when we started to really plateau. I mean, it spiked, we plateaued, and we also do snow. We live in a snow region. Snow is a pretty big part of our business as well. Um, and so, but we stuck at that 150 for years. I mean, I'm talking up until 2024, maybe
Mm.
late 23. Um, we were stuck, and I got in this rut. And the first thing that I said, I got to do something. You know, um,
What prompted that? Was there something in particular that made you go, all right, enough's enough. Here we go.
well, I was just losing interest in mowing 25 lawns a day. I thought, geez, I'm 52, 53 years old, and I'm just humping grass out all day. So I started just looking for podcasts to listen to, and I found one that was really interesting. It's out of Penn State. Obviously, we're in PA. It's called Fresh Cut Grass, and they
Very cool.
really inspired me, honestly, to get certified for pesticides and herbicides. So
Mm.
anyone that knows me, it
And
takes me.
and for our tens of listeners, we've talked about this before. This moment of going, hey, wait a second, I could bill $250 an hour over here on the fertilization weed control, and I can bill 85 or $100 an hour for mowing. That's a big move when you
Well, hey, listen,
discover that.
I had no idea what I could make. And this, I don't want to make this about spraying lawns. That's not what this is about. I wanted a different direction. I got to a point where I wanted to
Mm.
learn and get to a different part of my business.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't want to name any companies. There's a couple big companies in our area that spray, and I wasn't happy with the products my customers were getting. Like they were just not getting. I'd see weeds, I'd see all kinds of stuff in their lawn.
Yeah.
I can do this. They I can honestly do this. So one of my friends was going back to college, in her career, and she kind of inspired me to go back and do this. So we got certified. We're in this now. Listening, I find Lawn Care CEO, and I'm like, a couple of the podcasts. I'm not gonna lie, that I'm like, I've been doing this for years. I don't need to listen to this one. And then I was like, damn, I should listen to this. So then I kept listening, and I found that Aaron's life almost mirrors mine, or mine almost mirrors his. Aaron
Yeah.
has actually 3 times the amount of college experience that I have. I basically
Yeah.
got through high school with a D.
Yeah.
Aaron says he was out of college in 9 months. I was out by Thanksgiving. They just wouldn't let me come back. Um, I was having the time of my life, but apparently they didn't want me there.
So Jude, when did we meet first? Because we
I
got on the
called
call
you.
somewhere around there.
I did. So you guys kind of said, hey, in one podcast, I don't know the one, it says, hey, give us a call. You can get some free help here. So I did. I'm like, what the hell? I'll call. So I called or emailed. I did it all via email. And I get Dan. We set up a meeting. And I'm going to tell you, I was never so frustrated leaving a meeting. Dan yelled at me. He's like, no, you can't do this. You need this. You have to do that. And I literally, when I
I
was done
don't
with this, I said,
remember being, I'm not a generally angry person. This wasn't
you
like,
weren't
come on the
angry.
call.
It was the best. It was like getting scolded by your grandmother because
Oh.
I listened. I did. I did.
I'm,
I'm
I'm,
telling you.
I'm just
I
laughing over here
listened
because I
to I
love the
listened to you.
analogy. That is my
I
style
did.
of
I
coaching.
listened to
I'm
you.
like a grandmother scolding you. That is exactly.
That's why I told my wife, I'm like, it's
That's
like my
funny.
Grammy yelling at me, and I'm going to listen to this guy, and I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to show him, and I did that. I went back I scheduled another call a year later, and I'm not going to lie, I went into that conversation with Dan, and I wanted to dominate that conversation. I had my notes from the first year, and I showed him what I did in 1 year just by listening to this podcast. I've never
Yeah.
paid you folks a penny.
And I want to talk a little bit more about that transformation, but let me tell you that my half of the story, because I do remember that call. And obviously our programs cost money, and one-on-one coaching isn't cheap. And so most of the clients that we work with are a little bit bigger companies. When I say a little bit bigger, they're, north of 500K a year and have a handful of employees, and they're kind of in that phase of business. And at least at the time, that's where we were. And so, but we're happy to help whoever we can for an hour, right? Like, but but there's not much we had at the time, and we'll talk about this more later, to offer someone like Jude, because we're not going to, it'd be bad advice to say sign up for a coach that's going to charge you a bunch of money at your stage of business. And so in that call, Jude, all I'm trying to do is go, okay, I see this problem. And I see that I was like, just trying to lay it out for you as quickly as I could, as if I were like a field medical, like a military medical general on the battlefield, just going, tie the tourniquet around that piece. And like, I was like, let's get it done. So I do remember that call.
I was bleeding.
And one of the things you'll get with us as far as our coaching is we're not afraid to like tell the truth. And so I was surprised to get a call a year later from Jude, and Jude, like, just like he said, hey, listen, Dan, like, I first of all, I felt very embarrassed and bad that I'd yelled at him, in quotes, but then come to find out, it turned out it was a good scolding. So Jude, talk a little bit about, I want to almost recreate that call where it's like, hey, here's where I was, here's what I did. And really it was, I'm sure it wasn't just our podcast, but I just got to work on it. So talk more about, what were some of the things you accomplished over that year of just kind of digging in and like applying the lesson.
So what we did after that original phone call, 12, 14 months ago, in that time, I implemented a CRM into my company.
Implemented a CRM. Beautiful.
I did. And the one I picked, I investigated 5 of them. The one that I felt was best for me was Jobber, for a couple simple reasons. We're a lawn care company, we're a spraying company, and irrelevant to the conversation, we're also a Boss snowplow company. And it covered all three of my items that we sell. Prior to that,
Phone's ringing.
I was that company that you folks talk about, that I was selling 25 things. I was selling shrub care, I was selling mulch, I was selling lawn care, I was selling snow plowing, I was selling salting, I was selling tree trimming, I was selling gutter cleaning. And in the podcast, I in 1 year, I narrowed my market to lawn mowing, lawn treatment, and snow plowing. Okay. And between implementing Jobber and implementing things that we learned from this podcast, and I say, I don't want to bankrupt you guys. I never paid you a penny, but I've increased my sales in 12 months by over just $104,000. Now, there's a lot of reasons that we.
By the way, imagine if you had paid us. How good we could have done, right?
And well, that might be a thing here, because if we end up hiring our first employee, we're going to need coach, because I don't know anything about that.
Sure.
That's for another day's discussion. But we're increasing our sales by 104,000 in a 12-month period.
For context, this is a 75% increase year over year.
Yes.
More or less, somewhere around there.
I don't have the math. I don't have my calculator. I took every distraction away from me here, but
somewhere around there.
We went from 150 to 250, and the year's not over. I want to hit 300,000 this year. If we get a good snow season the last month and a half, we're at 268 right now, and that's small compared to a lot of the folks you talk to. That's huge for me. And I can do 40K of snow if we get the right weather.
If you end up being around 290. So maybe a 100% increase by the time we get to the end of the year. That would be
hopefully.
Come on, let's go.
Listen,
I know it's snowing.
I
know it's snowing today on November 10th, so you might have a good run. So
it is.
Try to put a finger on. So this, by the way, everybody listening, this is the reason why I felt so inspired by Jude's story. Can you just honor for a moment? And many of you have already had that moment in your life where it was like, okay, first of all, no more. Like, I'm putting my foot down. I'm getting scolded by my grandmother. It is time for us to make a change in our business. It's time for me to make a change in my life. I'm sick of the same old thing. Like that little moment is a very important, like, I don't know what, I'm so fascinated by the psychology of what spawns that. But sometimes it's just one day I woke up and I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to do the same old anymore. And that is all it has to be. There doesn't need to be a good reason for us to initiate change. So that part I love, and maybe we can dig more into that. And then number 2, Jude said, what resources are available to me? And then, like a good student, he said, I'm going to take what I learn and put it in my business. And I'm not going to make a big hubbub about it. I'm not going to be scared of it. Maybe you were, but it's like, I'm just going to go make the change. And I feel so honored on my part to be trusted, because, man, I'm sure glad it turned out this way, not the other way. And my business died, right? Like that would have been too bad. So I feel honored that he trusted us at Lawn Care CEO to say, hey, I'm going to believe you guys. I'm going to trust you guys. I'm going to make the changes that I haven't made yet and put those things to play. And to me, that's what's so inspiring about your story, Jude, is that transformation and being willing to kind of, duct tape and baling wire, figure this thing out and make a very different business. So if you were to pinpoint one thing out of all the things you implemented, maybe we could ask for 1 or 2 that maybe made the biggest difference to move you from 150 to 300. We're going to call out 300. We're just going to claim 300 at this point, but
okay. Well, I'll let you know January 1 where we ended up December 31.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, the biggest thing was getting the CRM.
Huge, right?
And that with implementing, listen, I'm we all, in the one podcast, you guys talked about cheating off of your neighbor's test, and you don't want your kid cheating off the dumb kid. I cheated off Aaron. After our conversation, the first one we had, the next day I went to Aaron RDS's Lawn Care's Google page and I mirrored his. I took pictures and I copied it verbatim and put that into my Google page descriptions, because I'm the same company he is. I have 25,000 people to draw on in my county. He has 2 million, but I have to figure this out. So that was the first thing I did. I didn't realize what a powerhouse. You guys taught me that Google's powerful. Well, on our first conversation, I'm looking at my notes. I had 9 reviews, and you were like, "No, you can't run a company with 9 reviews. 3 of them are from your grandma, one's from your aunt, one's from your neighbor." So the
Yep.
very first thing I told you in the second phone call was, "We're at 102 reviews."
102
You know,
5-star reviews in 1 year.
yes.
That should inspire people. Like I have 2 million, $3 million companies that don't do 100 reviews in a year. You should. You
So,
can. Were you doing
so
anything
what I
special
did,
there on the 5-star reviews?
well, you know what I did? I just put my brain to work and I said, I'm going to ask everybody I do work for to give me a review. And if they can't give me a 5-star, I want to know why. Like, Dan, why
Beautiful.
are you not going to be able to give me a 5-star? Because I'll fix it. So you give me a 5-star with a brief description. I never paid
Yeah.
for a Google review. I never gave a discount, never anything. They all said, we didn't know that that was a thing, but we have no problem giving you a 5-star review.
That's great.
We'll do that for
So
you.
I went to this Airbnb one time that I thought did a really, really good job of asking me for a 5-star review. Because very similar to lawn care, the way people make decisions around where to stay is by the reviews that their clients give. And in this case, I went into the home. And in most of the homes, there's a little book that sits at the table. You open it up and it's like a little welcome to the home. And it gives you kind of the rules if you ever stayed in Airbnb. Well, the language they used, which I thought was really brilliant, and you're using a version of that without knowing it, was, hey, listen, anything less than a 5-star review to us means we didn't do a good enough job. So if we're not 5-star, we are mad at that. We want to be 5-star. And you just let us know what it would take to make this a 5-star experience for you. And we're going to do our best to make that happen. And I could tell right from the get-go, based on this language, they really cared about a 5-star review. They really wanted me to give them a 5-star review. But the language was so gentle. It was like diplomatic because they're saying, hey, we want this to be a 5-star experience, right? But it was very clear. And it's by the way, there's a little QR code in the bottom that's like, to leave a 5-star review, click here. And guess what I did? I left a 5-star review because it was a great experience. And I have a soft spot for an entrepreneur trying to get a 5-star review. But so I love that. I think that's a brilliant approach, just to say, hey, I want this to be a 5-star experience with our company. And if you're at that $100,000 stage, you are the one doing the work. So to say, and I want to do whatever I can to make this a 5-star experience, so you could give me a 5-star review. That's a great phrasing for initiating that. Anything else you did to do the 5-star reviews? Just that?
Well, through my CRM job, or like after you close a job, it sends out a request to give a 5-star, which helps. I didn't get all those 102 by asking. Some were given prior to it. And that's a great part of a CRM, and I'm not here to promote anyone's. I investigate them. This one worked best for me.
Yeah. I think for the record, I think Jobber it's a good little CRM. If you're just getting started, it's fairly inexpensive and it's a decent little CRM. We tend to recommend Service Autopilot, but it's a bigger investment and it's an upgrade from Jobber. So the sequence to me is kind of Jobber, upgrade to Service Autopilot, or maybe Real Green is an equivalent, but Real Green's a little bit more expensive. And then an upgrade to Aspire, to like Aspire. It's like an upgrade to Aspire. So it's like, as your business grows, you need more sophisticated reporting. You need more sophisticated automations. You'll have bigger teams to take care of those things. And so as you grow, you just kind of click up. It's probably every 3 to 4 years you need to make shouldn't say 3 to 4 years. It's probably every on the 1s and 3s of business. So at 100,000, right, where you are, you added a CRM. You'll get to 3 to 4, 500,000 in there. You'll probably need to make a change again. You'll get to 500, and then somewhere around, in between 500,000 and a million, and then probably somewhere around 3 to 5 million, you're going to go, ooh, I might need to make a change again. So we'll get you there one step at a time.
The investment, what I spend on my CRM is, and I do a lot of math now. It's honestly, it is about 1/8 of what I was spending on postage, envelopes, paper, ink. my time in the office. I was spending 18
Yeah.
hours a week in my office. Right now, I'm spending about 14 minutes.
A CRM is a really
Yeah, if you're not
easy
using one, get one. And
ROI.
I don't want to tell. Listen, I hope nobody local's listening because I want them guys to struggle. If I'm allowed to say that out loud. I don't mind to be easy and them to struggle, but no, do all you guys get one. It's life changing. My wife is the biggest one to hate change, and I did this without really her authorization. She's a 50% owner of my company. We're married. We're small.
Yeah.
This is what we get. And
Yeah.
now she'll call me and she'll be like, "Hey, so and so paid." Like she was so against, little things. Listen, little things that change your business. Aaron has a million going through his credit card machine. That 3%. I have 100, 200,000 going through it. I thought I was going to miss that money. You're not.
Nope.
Because my accounts receivable went from, this is all learning from you guys. My account, I was averaging for a small company, I was still carrying like 30,000 a month on my books. I'm carrying $8,000 a month on my books. I'm getting paid in 2 days for everything, except for
Yep.
the corporations that I work for. The corporate world's still on 90 days, and that's that. And I'll never get that money faster than that. But I'm okay with that because that money now, like we're learning to allocate that money to for hypothetically salt purchases or hypothetically our
Yeah.
fertilizer purchase in the spring. One company, I just sent them the last bill. They won't even pay me till February 1. So that's great because I get this large chunk of money February 1. There goes my Harold's bill. It's in and out, and I'm back in season at zero cost. You learn to live without that
Beautiful.
that money.
Beautiful.
Um,
And
it's
you're
simple.
not saying this. You're not saying this, but you're saying this. But I'm going to put a fine point on it. Um, what one of the other CRM allowed you to then know your numbers in a way that you haven't been able to know them maybe before, or you weren't focused on them before. And knowing your numbers just puts you in a position to make good decisions like this.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it just allows you to kind of be wise and smart and kind of feel. Maybe I should ask this: stress level ranked, the middle of last year, this time to this year, less stress, more stress.
so there's less for two reasons. Two
Mm.
two reasons. I've put my kids through college. I've paid for their weddings, and I'm able to give them money for houses. I did. I did
Yeah,
that. That's part of
that's
my
awesome.
hardcore Roman Catholic background. My Italian
Sure.
background, you provide for your family. My kids are pretty much debt free, other than debt that they've created on their own. They have no college debt. They have no. I helped them with a lot of things, and that put
That's
me not in
amazing.
the poorhouse, but that put us on limit. Well, having an extra 100K this year and not having those expenses, we're going to Jamaica, man. Like I'm gonna go take 10
Yeah,
days off. We're doing it.
I
But
love
you're right.
it.
The CRM, the listening to you guys, don't be afraid of that 3%. Don't you know? Forget about that because when you get your money quicker, you're able to make smarter decisions and have less stress.
Yeah,
When you have less stress, you don't mind waking up at 5:30 in the morning, hitting your office, getting your mowers ready, getting your chemicals ready, and hitting it before daylight, being on first property. And you don't mind working till dark because you know that and that's my day. Um,
I
I'm a
think I
workaholic.
think to
I
be
enjoy it.
fair, tell me if you agree with this. I think that because you carried financial stress for 28 years. It's kind of
We
like
do.
you live in it, you swim in it, right? It's like
You do.
and and you just almost get nose blind to it, so to speak. You just don't even smell it anymore. It's just this is how life is. And there is a
Yeah.
moment when you turn that and you go, "Oh, like it's a totally different game." And I just want to communicate this somehow to the people that are listening that might be in your situation a year ago. It's like it's a totally different situation when you're operating a business with cash in the bank versus operating
Yes.
a business with very little cash in the bank.
Well, we always The biggest phrase, and my kids even know this, money on your accounts receivable is, we always called it fake money. It's
Fake
nice to
money.
look at that list and see that it's 30,000 bucks owed to you, but you need to put gas in your pickup today. You can't take that to the sheet store and say, hey, listen, I got 30K owed to me. Can I get, 100-gallon worth of fuel today, and then I'll pay you tomorrow when they pay me? It doesn't work that way. Um, Small business it's a must cash flow business. You need to have cash flow. And I learned that. Like, I knew it, but I didn't want to hear it. I
Mm,
almost took pride in saying, they'll pay
mm.
me, they'll pay me, they'll pay me. Now, you know what? They're paying me. I was afraid to ask for credit card on file. People now, they get an invoice rate when I leave their home. I'm paid before the day's over. I have them so accustomed to paying that they get the invoice. It's so easy for them to pay. It takes one
Yeah.
button. They get the invoice and they
Well,
pay it, and I'm paid.
and let me give you the homeowner view. If you don't let me pay with credit card, I'm bugged. You're telling me I have to pull out an actual pen and write a check to someone? I don't even know where the checkbook is in my house. I can't write a check to you. And by the way, I'm not like young. Can you imagine somebody younger than me? I'm 47.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody younger than me. Like they don't have a check. My kids don't know what a checkbook looks like or how to fill one out. My 20-year-old son couldn't fill out a check for you. Like it's like, so it really is almost a requirement at this point to like create that. And so not only he's collecting his money faster, but I'm feeling better as the homeowner to like fill out that check. That's really smart.
No, you're
Um,
right. You're right.
so
I
Jude,
I have
if
4
you were
paper
to,
invoices we made. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead. You have 4 paper invoices. Finish that thought, and then we'll
Yeah,
move on to
and
this.
these are, listen, my customer base. I've had most of my mowing customers for 17 years or longer. Okay, I
Yeah,
very rarely pick up new customers. We now, with online booking, because you guys told us, like Aaron says, nobody wants to walk their lawn for 2 hours so you can tell them how good you can mow it. They want to go online. They want to book. I get the request. I literally
sure.
look it up on my mapping software. I send him a quote. Aaron's correct. He's 1,000% correct. Every job that I've bid within 1 hour, I answer my phone instantly. I wear headphones. Someone calls, I'm mowing. I stop. I answer. I have my tablet with me. I fill it out. I send them a quote. I'm mowing grass before other guys are even getting time to go look at the property.
Yep,
I've
yep.
learned that all from you guys.
It's
That's why my increase in sales
the
has gone up,
instant
because I'm mowing.
generation, right?
It is. It's the
The,
McDonald's satisfaction. I want it now.
I want it. I want it
People
now,
want
and I
it.
want it my way. By the way, yeah.
Yeah. No, they want it. They want it right now. And I'm fine with
Hmm.
giving it to them. Before, I used to want to go and parade and dance and tell them everything I know. They don't care. We're mowing grass and making it green, you know?
Yeah, make grass shorter and greener. That's all we're doing.
One thing I forgot to tell you about the Google reviews. I did email it to you. You didn't answer me. I was a little disappointed, but I'll let you slide
What?
on that one. So I took an extra step on wrapping my vehicles. I got my QR code for. I'm gonna embarrass you today. That's the kind of guy I am. Like, I want you to
I'm
know.
loving it. I'm loving that you're calling me out on the airwaves. This is great.
I do. Um, I got my Google QR code, and I took it to the local detail shop, printing shop. I said, "Can you make this for me? I want to stick it on my back window." He goes, "What in God's name is it?" I said, "It's a link to my Google page." I said, "How much is it going to cost?" He made me a 5 by 5 inch sticker. I put it on the back window of my pickup. Cost me $5. So far to date, I've been tracking. I've got $3,800 worth of business out of that. People behind me at a traffic light, they know what it is. They take their camera, they put it up, they online book. Before I get to the next red light, they're sending me a request.
That's a great. That's a great tip, actually. Simple,
Well,
inexpensive. What a good ROI on a marketing piece.
when I
And and by the way, how many of us believe that everyone is on their cell phones in their cars? It's like, yeah, pretty much. So might as well take advantage of it.
when I get my new enclosed trailer this winter, we ordered one. The whole back thing is going to be that QR code so that they don't miss it. Because anybody that's under the age of
That's great.
35 is going to know what it is, and they can just sit there and hit it, and boom,
And
done.
they can check that to off their
$3,800,
list.
Dan, off of a $5 investment.
It's
And
great.
we haven't even gotten to residential snow yet. Once residential snow kicks off, I believe I'm gonna have to turn people down.
You probably, no doubt. So, imagine, Jude, that you could go back and talk to Jude 28 years ago, the young guy who's just left his job selling fax machines, a la Pursuit of Happiness. If you've seen that movie with Will Smith, I'm picturing that. And your wife's pregnant, and she's
She
going,
was.
no way, no way, you should start a business right now, dear. Like, I don't care how bad that job is. You get back to work. What advice would you give that guy? If he were listening today to this podcast, what would you say to him as like all right, like maybe we could start off and get to this point a little quicker?
I would have jumped into technology quicker. We didn't have this. We didn't have this stuff 28 years ago. We didn't.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, I
fair.
mean, I don't know how long this stuff's been around. Probably 15 years. And I didn't even like to email. I didn't even like to text. I wanted to voice talk to everybody. And I did that up until last year. And now I'm like, I have 90-year-old women texting me. So listen, my schedule is so tight. If I tell you I'm going to mow your grass between 11 and 1 on Thursday, unless if it rains, we are there. I don't miss. That
Yeah.
was my strategy from day one. If we, my dad used to have this plaque. It hangs up over here in my office. It says, "Don't promise what you can't deliver." And it's about 3 paragraphs. And I
Amen.
read that. I read that periodically. And it doesn't matter if it's your kids, your church, your wife, your customers. Um, the lady at Walmart. If you tell her you forgot something, you're going to be back in 2 seconds. Don't go shopping for another 25 minutes. Go back at what you wanted and get back. Don't
Yeah.
promise what you can't deliver, and don't deliver what you can't promise. I don't want to sound like I'm a hero or the greatest salesperson on the planet. My wife always says, you could pull lint out of your pocket and tell somebody it was Elvis's, and I could make money off of it. And it's a gift of gab. I don't think I'm very open and stuff. You told me that a different story of myself. We never perceive ourselves away.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I'll tell you a quick story that's completely off the wall. You do this on it every once in a while. One of my
Shoot
best
away.
friends
Shoot away.
passed. One of my best friends passed away about 2.5 years ago. He's 56 years old. It was all COVID related, and he ended up having a massive stroke. His wife, he was out in Cincinnati. He had moved there years ago, um, and when the last thing that he said on this earth, I was on the phone with him, and he had said, I said, "Hey man," I said, "I'm coming out to see you." He said, "I'll be at the gate waiting for you. You do what you have to do. I'll be there." And about an hour later, he passed away. Um, so
Wow.
I, I, I've always been, I said it earlier, a Catholic, and I'm a God fearing man, church fearing man, um, or church going man. And after his name, coincidentally, was Jude as well. And I found Halo, this app, and it's simple. It's on your phone. You can pray for 2 hours. You can pray for 10 minutes. You can pray for a minute. You don't have to do it every day. You can do it every day. You can do it 30 times a day. Um,
Love it.
I learned that listening to not only the guys over at the Penn State at Fresh Cut Grass and at your podcast, it's okay to talk about God and to ask God and to have God help you. And I do that
For sure.
daily. And Jude passing on me was probably one of the hardest things I ever went through. And I believe he inspired me to do the things we're doing, some things, and moving forward. Uh, but yeah, like you gotta be, if you don't like what you're doing, you're never going to do it correctly. My grandpa used to say, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing right. You you
Yeah.
you just have to focus and do the right things.
Well,
And
and
and,
I
and
love
be
this, and I love this idea. And I'm sorry to hear about Jude. It's gonna be a happy reunion when you're at the gate.
it will be.
Um,
It will be.
the one of the things that I I sat I have a two-part story, but I had a good friend of mine who owned a concrete company, and he got to be 72, 73 years old, and he was running his own concrete company his whole life. Well, if you run concrete your whole life, after a while, your whole body gives out. And his knees were gone. And when I was sitting chatting with him, he was in uh, assisted living facility, and unfortunately, his business, there's nothing left because it was just him. He didn't own. I mean, he had some guys that were kind of workers, but he didn't have any leaders. And he got to that stage in his life where it was like, oh no. I mean, I've been living year to year, paycheck to paycheck, essentially job to job. And now I can't do the jobs anymore. What do I do? And so his 72-year-old wife is working full time, trying to keep everything together and pay for his assisted living. And it's a really sad story. And a cautionary tale, I think, for those who are in the service business. If it's just you, like there has to be a moment. And then I sat down next to a good friend of mine who, similar to you, just a one-man crew with a helper every once in a while and runs a lawn care business. And I sat down next to him and I said, hey man, do you want to grow this thing? And you know what his answer was? Nah, I'm good. I like where it's at. I don't want to deal with employees. I don't want to deal with anything. I just like doing the work. I enjoy it. I have plenty of work for my family. And part of me was sad because I'm like, I'm the lawn care CEO guy, and you should want to learn from me, right? And I was like trying
Right.
to help him, but he wanted nothing of it. And I turned to him and I just said, hey, what about retirement? Like, what happens at that phase? And he gets kind of sheepish look on his face and he goes, have you been talking to my wife? Because my wife's really worried about that. And I was like, no, but maybe I should, because it sounds like she's got her head on her shoulders about this stuff. And you need to be thinking about that. Right. And so there is this moment. And I think you mentioned this in previous calls, but where it was kind of like, hey man, like can't do this forever. Right. Like we have to build something that works independent of me. Like a business is not an asset until it stops being a job. And a
Amen.
business becomes an asset as soon as you can disconnect yourself and the business still makes money. Because I only want to buy it if I can buy something that without you in it makes me money. That's why I want to buy an asset. And so one of the challenges in this whole thing, and one of the reasons I'm so inspired by you is here you are and you're in 50s and you're just like, hey, listen, it's first of all not too late to build a really great company that's really valuable that could pay for retirement. That's the cool part about entrepreneurship. There's not like a timeline on it. You can go really fast. For you, most lawn care businesses are like, if I grow by 10 or 15%, you grow by 100%. It's like, let's go. Let's grow by 100% year over year. Now, I might not recommend 300 to 600 and then 600 to 1.2. That
That'd
could
be
be
a
a
lot.
rocky road, but there's opportunity there. And that's what's to me so inspiring, Jude. This is why I'm grateful you came on this podcast. There's an opportunity to create something really cool, something that has value, something that pays for retirement, something that your wife finally, like, come on, let's be honest. Wives of entrepreneurs, they have to go through it, man. They have to be pretty tough Italian Catholic women, right? Like they have to be tough. They have to be tough to like endure it and deserve a reward at the end of the rainbow, right?
She
And
she still tells me that Tyler landscape maintenance is the most important thing in my life. And I look at her and I say, it has to be.
yeah, Yeah.
because if we don't have Tyler Landscape Maintenance, we don't have anything else.
Yeah.
We have to be able to create this. And we argued over growing this year because my wife dislikes change. She wanted everything to
Mm,
stay the same. Well, now she sees it.
mm,
And you guys
yeah.
are like, there's three things she's tired of me talking about: how green I make grass, how much you guys have helped me, or I'll talk to her about, I'm like, Shell, you have to listen to episode 12 and understand why I'm doing this marketing like this, why I just spent money on door hangers, why I'm pushing Google. Um, you have to listen to this episode and understand why I'm doing this. And like, I'm on the fourth time through on most of them. I told you in that last call, the book, what's his name? Greg Crabtree. I got both his books now. I listen
Yeah.
to him. Like there's, I think I knew the direction you were going with your buddy in the concrete, and
Yeah.
his wife and my kid. There's not one of my children that haven't mowed grass. There's not one of my kids now. Now they're 35, 28, and 23.
Yeah.
Just the other day, my 28-year-old daughter was in my shop helping me install a snowplow. I couldn't get my hand
Cool.
down between the radiator support and the frame, and she reached down in there and pulled one of the wires up through for me. My boy, if I would call him right now and say, Al, my salt spreader is not working, we got to get this thing working, we got to spread salt, he would abandon his family and come here and help me till dawn, till we got it going. um, Gina, she's the one who just graduated college. She's been in my shop. She sends me these TikToks, and it's a picture of a dad and his daughter, and it says, "No one has more faith in their daughter to get help until you realize no one else is around to help." This girl has held undercarriages that weigh 100 pounds, and they're on her chest, and she's holding it so I can get them up on. Or,
Oh my
she's out there
goodness.
driving my pickup, hooking a plow up, or they're out there mowing grass, in a rain day on Sunday because they know dad's got to get caught up so I can go to their graduation. Gina's request to me, Dan, on her graduation was, Dad, can you please show up in something other than work boots, a Tyler Landscape hoodie, and a dirty hat? Because that's how my kids know
Wow.
me.
Yeah.
And I said, sure. We call her Bean. I said, sure, Bean, no worries. I will definitely put something nice on.
And there's something like I love, like, first of all, I could talk for hours about the value of being an entrepreneurial parent. It honestly, to me, historically is replacing the family farm, which used to be the place where our kids learned work ethic and integrity and community and consequences. So that kind of went away. And so for me, I love hearing the stories of the daughter in there, greasy and gutting it out with
Oh,
you, and your son late nights working. I mean, it must have turned out some really cool kids. Um, but the story that I think I want to feature is just this opportunity to leave a legacy for them. And because they paid
you're
for it too. So take your wife to Jamaica and give your kids a great inheritance, right? It's like this
yeah.
has been something that deserves to be nurtured into something more. And you hear me saying this more to those. I'm not yelling at you. Don't get mad again. But I'm more like saying this to the community that's listening, where it's like, guys, like, I'm an old fashioned guy probably as well. That's kind of like my job as a father in part is to provide for my family and to create a legacy for my family. And I was telling our next actually podcast guest, so stay tuned. I was telling him that one of my goals as a father is to model for my children that we do big things, that we work hard, that we have integrity, that we care for others, that we serve and help and create in the world. And I believe, I had a mentor that taught me once that children learn vision from mom and confidence from dad. Well, the reason they're confident is because dad did cool things. Dad was able to fix things when they were broken. Dad was able to work hard. Dad was able to And so I really love that story because I just can only imagine that your kids turned out awesome as a result of living that life. But there's an opportunity for you to leave a legacy, right?
Yes, yes. And that's one of the biggest things that you guys taught me in podcasts. It was more geared towards build your business to be sellable. I don't know if you remember that podcast.
Sure. Sure.
And I do. I was at my grandson's soccer game and one. I'm sorry.
That book, Built to Sell, is one of our favorites.
Yeah. So I was at my grandson's soccer game, and another lawn and landscape company in town. He said to me, he goes, "I want to buy your business." And I giggled. I said, "Well, what the hell am I going to do?" He said, "Well, you can work for me." And I said, "Why in the hell would I do that?" I said, "Give me 5 years and then we'll talk." And I've never been approached in 28 years for anyone to buy my company. And he's like, "I see what you're doing." He goes, I want your model in my company. And I said, "Damn, I don't know what I'm doing right, but apparently
whatever you do, don't listen to the Lawn Care CEO podcast because it's terrible."
Yeah,
right? Is that what you told
don't
him?
listen
like,
to those guys.
To those guys. Yeah.
But so my legacy, as all of our children, those of us that have children, I'm probably the old guy in this podcast. My boy is 100% mechanic. He can do anything. The guy can fix anything. If it's broke, he can fix it. My middle daughter, that girl can work. She has 3 jobs. She can work. She's a mother of 2. She could literally hop in my pickup and go plow snow tonight if I need her to do it. She's done it. And she has the confidence to do it. My youngest one is going to definitely be the customer relations and solve all the problems.
Good.
My one son-in-law is an IT guy, so I don't have to worry about the computer packages working. But what I want the 3 of them to be able to take this business when I'm done with it and have a second sustainable income and be able to operate it and manage it. And if they want to work in it, they can work in it. I think it was Greg Crabtree, or maybe you or Aaron, you have to learn when to work in your business and when to work on your business.
Yeah.
And I literally took the last year I've been working on my business. I ran this business for 28 years without a budget.
Well, again, this to me is one of the inspiring parts of your story is that you not only were working on it, but you also doubled your revenue at the same time. Oftentimes we work on the business and it stays a little flat and then it spikes up, but you did both at the same time, which is,
well, Dan, we went from having
quite a story.
We went from having 0 lawn treatment customers you call it Furt and Squirt. I very much dislike that, but I'll stick with that for you. I started with 0 in February. We're doing 68 right now. It's not a lot. I get it, but
great.
It's great. I want to triple that number for next year with some marketing, and I don't need to have 1,000 customers. I can't handle 1,000. I want to get this lawn treatment program built as well as my mowing company. And then what I want to bring somebody in, a person on each end, and get them a helper. And I want to sit back and make it grow. And then have my kids.
Why stop here? We can turn this into something that's really sustainable and growable.
I don't have
Jude,
that time,
this is fantastic. This is so inspiring to me. And let me just share 2 things with the audience to wrap up. And as I kind of say, thank you. Number 1, those who are listening, who are that 150, 200K, $75,000 a year, wherever you're at on that journey. If you're one of those younger companies, dial in, because it is worth the effort. It is worth the work because it's chaotic for a time. I had somebody give me the hourglass analogy, which is it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And then if you break through, it starts to open up, and all of a sudden there's resource, there's money, there's time to do those things. And so if you're at that bottleneck of that hourglass, just know it does open. It does open up if you do it the right way, if you're listening to the right voices. Number two, wherever you are in your business, no matter how big or small you are, and if you're one of my clients listening to this, you know what I'm saying. Like, it's never the wrong time to say enough already with some pain in your business, some problem in your business. And then you go, all right, who knows how to fix this? Who knows how to solve this problem? I'm going to go just listen to them, do what they say, swipe all of their ideas. I'm going to go to their website. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal it all. Nothing illegal about that, luckily. And I'm going to go execute this, right? And so for me, that is the center of entrepreneurial like grit, is like, I'm come hell or high water, I'm going to figure this out. And so, Jude, that's why your story is inspiring to me. Now, one thing I should tell Jude here, and I've mentioned this to Jude already, but at the time a year ago when I called and chewed him out like an old grandmother, we didn't have anything to offer someone like Jude as a product. We didn't have an offering to make Jude's life easier, and so Jude had to figure it out however he had to figure it out, which is very inspiring. If it was a year ago, I would have said, hey, Jude, we're launching a DIY program, which is designed for people who are just going to figure it out themselves, but we want to make it easier because, coaching's too expensive, but we wanted to create something that would work for literally the lowest revenue lawn care business in the country could afford our DIY program. And so if you go to our website, lawncareceo.com, we're going to offer Jude, in honor of Jude, we'll call it in honor of Jude. We would have done it anyway, but in honor of Jude, we're going to offer everyone a free month of that program. So you can just go check it out. You can just go say, hey, you go on our website. I can't remember where on the website it is, maybe under courses, DIY membership, go and enter the keyword podcast in the coupon code, and you'll get the first month free. And then you have to pay from then on if you want to keep it up, but go check it out. Go see. What we're trying to do in the DIY membership program is exactly what Jude jerry-rigged by just listening to the podcast. Is we're taking and very specifically teaching you keys like how to build your CRM, how to set the vision for your company, how to hire, how to fire, how to create a great team and create accountability, how to build a KPI scorecard, how to implement P4P, or how to start thinking about and organizing around P4P, how to get your finances right, how to build a budget. Like all of these questions that when you're starting a business or in the thick of the business, there's no one really there to teach you. And what happened is we had enough calls with people like Jude where we're like, I just felt bad because I couldn't help. And I just got to yell at them for an hour and I just felt bad. And we're like, we need to create something that will work for that group specifically, that they can afford, that it wouldn't be bad advice to say, go sign up for that. You're going to get way more than your money's worth. Now, I can't promise you'll do 100% like Jude did, but hopefully if you are on that journey, it'll come a little bit easier. So again, the instructions are lawncareceo.com and coupon code podcast to get access to that. And we hope that you check it out. Now, Jude was afraid he was going to bankrupt me by saying, I just listened to the podcast and that's all I needed. If you're one of those, we love you. You're one of our 10s of 10s, maybe 20 of 20s now. Maybe it's 20 of 20s now, Jude. I hope that's the case.
It is.
Jude Salvaggio with Tire Landscape Maintenance Guys, St. Mary's, PA. Thank you, Jude, for being a part of this.
Oh, my Lord. Thank you. And I'm telling you, hard work. Listen to this podcast and implement. It's easy. And take their advice. I am personally going to look at this DIY thing because I feel Dan hit the nail on the head when I found out what the cost was. My company can't afford that. And, time is money and money is time. And I'm probably going to jump on and do this. Honestly, I will.
Yeah.
The other key thing, if I could add one more thing, Dan, you just
please.
emailed me the 55 steps to scalability. I didn't get time to look at it yet. You don't know that, but probably Via did or whoever.
Yeah, Via did. Yeah.
There I threw you under the bus again.
No,
But
are you kidding me? That's the magic of having a team. I'm doing things and I don't even know they're happening. Like it's
right.
magical.
But I'm next week because we're gonna be in full snow, so we'll have some time off from mowing and fertilizing and stuff.
Great.
That's gonna be one big thing, and I think that anyone that's looking, that's a great tool. Get it.
Yeah.
Get
Thank
it.
you so
Call them.
much,
No,
Jude.
I don't know if Dan. I don't know if they're still emailing it for free. I got it for free. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you, get your hands on it.
Yep. 55 steps to scalability. If you're interested in that, you can check it out. You just email info@lawncareceo.com. We'll get you that as well. All right, you guys, thank you for listening to Lawn Care CEO podcast. This has been an outstanding episode and hopefully an inspiring one to those of you who are just getting going in this industry or have been at it for a while. And it's time for you to take the next big step. As always, go do more good.